that listeners want to bring up. Freeman, of course, does his own radio show and his own TV show and has made his own documentaries. It was Freeman that encoded my first films on the DVD for us, did that job. America Destroyed by Design, the Police State Trilogy, Dark Secrets Inside Bohemian Grove. So he's done a lot of great work with us in the past, and he is going to be in studio with us for the next hour and 19 minutes to be precise. But we will play some more clips next hour of some of the key highlights of the impeachment hearing that is going on in the House of Representatives right now, and the incredible testimony that we're hearing. But I want you to understand, they just arrested the editor of Vanity Fair last week trying to sneak into Bohemian Grove. When I first got on the air 13 years ago, I didn't believe in the occult. I know people were into it, but I didn't believe the elite was involved in it. I thought movies like Eyes Wide Shut that came out in the late 90s were ridiculous, by Stanley Kubrick. I thought that was crazy conspiracy theorists in our movement. I was more conservative. I only go off what I can prove. But in deeper research in the last 8-9 years, I learned it was real. I'm the only person to ever successfully infiltrate the Bohemian Grove and not go to prison for it. The second fellow who got a job there and sent me video, he was sent to prison. Another individual went in there and was sent to prison on charges, Richard McCaslin, a separate individual. So this is very serious, and by the grace of God, I'm alive to even report this information to you. I'm prominent enough that they don't want to kill me and make everything that I've said and done be highlighted or have an exclamation point after it or be underlined, basically, is the best way of putting it, legitimizing everything we cover. But I did sneak in on July 15, 2000. They did engage in the ancient ritual that I want to talk some about today with Freeman, who's an expert on this and also has made films with Tex Mars. And I know Tex respects. And he's gone and investigated some of these groups, been a part of some of these mid-level groups, gone and investigated those. He has a lot of their writings. And when you see all-seeing eyes and peacocks as the symbols of corporations and 666s, and you see the UN and their biological diversity assessment saying they want to conduct worldwide human sacrifices for the mother goddess, that's official UN law. That's in my film Road to Tyranny with the page number, and you can get it at the library. I mean, you can't, that's the 95 and 87, two of them say it, biological diversity assessments. It's policy passed by the Secretary General and the full United Nations into UN policy and law. So, again, this all sounds crazy. It's what they're into. But we told you that the Republican leadership likes gay porn stars years ago, and now that's been all over the mainstream news. And if you don't know about it, just Google Jeff Cannon. So we're covering things that are bizarre, but things that are true and really happening, to understand their mindset and what we're facing. And so joining us for the next hour and 15 minutes or so is Freeman. Again, your calls coming up in the next hour on any issue you wish to discuss. But I wanted to have him back for part two to get more into this, and then also their mind control operations, Disney, some of the really esoteric stuff that he's broken down that we'll be going over today. Freeman, thanks for coming in.
Hey, it's great to be here, Alex. Fantastic.
Great to have you here with us. Go ahead and show us that book first.
Yeah, well, one of the things when we're looking at the occult is to realize the amount of knowledge that is put into such a study, that this is a science that has been around for quite some time. This is the complete system of magic of the Golden Dawn. Now, that is one of the magical organizations that Aleister Crowley was a member of, and then became leader and left, and then started the OTO, which is large here in Austin. Actually, Aleister Crowley's handwritten works, now, looking at magic, looking at what these men do, they channel entities. This is their goal. This is the goal of ritual magic. And Aleister Crowley is one of these fine members that has channeled entities, and they believe from Atlantis. And this book is stored right here on the UT campus. Aleister Crowley's handwritten works are stored at the Harry Ransom Center right here next to the statue of the goddess again. So, how far and how deep does this go when we look on campus and we find signs of Satan?
Why did the elite admire Aleister Crowley? I mean, I know he was a part of most of the European and British and U.S. secret societies and had gone to the Great Pyramid and done rituals and claimed to have channeled Lucifer.
Yes, and well, the reason he became as popular as he did was this book that's housed at the Harry Ransom Center, the Book of the Law. And in it, when he started to... Now, what we're looking at in occultism is basically a map, a road map of the other side as they see it. Now, what I do is I study what Freemasons study and try to understand what they're thinking. You know, where is their mindset? All of their proceedings are behind locked doors with a sworded guard. It's standing out front. So here we have all of our leaders. We've got, of course, the founding fathers and everyone else coming down through the ages, all being Freemasonic. You know, over half of our presidents have belonged to a lodge. And the reason we don't know what's going on inside is because they don't want us to know. They keep these doors locked.
That's like whenever Tim Russert asked then presidential candidate John Kerry, about, well, you and Bush are in the same secret society, Skull and Bones. Tell us about it. He goes, well, I'm not going to tell you. It's a secret. And they just laughed at him.
Right. Exactly. And
meanwhile, the public says Skull and Bones doesn't exist.
Oh, yeah?
I mean, they can admit it exists, but the people have been trained in hypnotism, or what the elite call a spell, to be pre-programmed that didn't exist.
And that's exactly what they do. They are our reality manufacturers. And this is how they do it. They create these icons, these ideologies, using symbols. And they know the powers of symbols. And so when we get to Aleister Crowley, we find that what he has done is made contact with an entity, and most of the magicians believed him. Most people in these occult orders believed that he had made an actual contact, and this is what propelled him to the height of the order. Because he had made this contact with Iwas, this supposed Atlantean entity. And like I say, that is kept at the Harry Ransom Center here in Austin. So this is what propelled Aleister Crowley to the top of the spectrum, is that they believe he actually had contact. Now, what we continually find is that this contact and these studies go through genealogy, and they are very into genealogy. You know, you will find this through all of them, through all the different occult organizations, through Mormonism, through even our own presidencies. We find genealogy being the ruling line, the ruling study that these men follow. So what we have to ask, what is it about genealogy that's so important to magic? And I find that these that have the so-called god blood that come down from the pharaonic bloodlines have a better contact with these other realms.
Well, that's what they believe, and we're here looking today at what they believe.
Exactly.
I don't believe it. But we need to understand the elite and their mindset and what they're into, and why they have these symbols, and I think they're getting power from these symbols. I mean, what types of things does Aleister Crowley's book cover?
Well, the Book of the Law is definitely one of the most disturbing books I've read. It promotes violence, aggression, just all kinds of what we would call satanic affairs.
I was watching on national Israeli television a clip on YouTube the other day of a top rabbi saying, we want aggression, we want the ego, we want to be violent, we want to, this was this particular sect, for the Kabbalah, that's really what that's about.
Yes, exactly. And they believe in this order out of chaos, and so if they can get more people to get into the chaotic state, then they have more control. We keep finding this over and over again throughout their actions. Personally, I find that, I've been to Benjamin Franklin's lodge in Philadelphia, and you go into the Benjamin Franklin Hall there, and you'll find a golden sperm sun sitting there. So for me, this goes back to all the way to the creation of America and its purpose. Now we find America being turned into a satanic force. We find it encoded each and every way that we can in the 666s that we've uncovered in corporate logos and CERN and even the meaning of W and VW. We get to these concepts of this satanic order. And as I see it, as they're promoting us through their mass media, which also...
They are making us lower-level initiates. We're being brought through initiations. That's what 24 is, and the White House putting out memos saying we torture children. They are now indoctrinating us in their mindset.
Yes, and making us appear to the rest of the world to be a satanic force. And certainly, when we start to look into what fascism is, we get to corporatism, and we find that through my Masonic studies, through my studies of corporate logos and their incorporation into Masonic ritual. So if we follow each corporate logo into Masonic ritual, you can outline every single corporate logo into a Masonic ritual. We're looking at fascism, we're looking at corporatism, we're looking at a secret cabal that has been moving an agenda forward through the means of corporatism. And so then now we must realize that these men are globalists. They are globalists. And so they are not dedicated to America, right? Within the Freemasonic rituals, you must admit that you first serve the Brotherhood, and then whatever